Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the interview series on procrastination, the ultimate life stealer. I'm here with Ben and, Zen. And Zen and I will be discussing procrastination and how it can affect your life if you're not paying attention. So Ben, do you want to introduce, why do I keep calling you Ben? Zen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Ben, hey, you, doesn't really matter, right? You know, as long as we're talking. Names are kind of inconsequential. It's all about the eyes. And they have it, right? So my name is Benefield. I've got an MBA in project management, Master of Arts in Organizational Management, secondary teaching cert, certified transformational life coach, and professional facilitator. I think that's about it. There's lots of other stuff, I'm sure. My background has been in many different industries, from aerospace, education, theater, music, events. All of them I've really enjoyed and learned a lot and had a lot of fun in putting people, places and things together to do stuff. There was a gentleman named Dudley Lynch that gave me a title some years ago. He called me a possibilities coagulator. So essentially that's putting people, places, and things together to do stuff.
Right.
You know,
it's project management.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. And so what I wanted to just discuss with you today is your experience of procrastination, how it has affected you, if it has affected you, and what tools or techniques you can suggest to our viewers on how they can better manage that should it occur for them.
Wonderful topic and very timely, especially with the changes that are happening in our economy worldwide and the shift in the job structure. One of the other things I do is peer group or peer advisory groups, which are essentially advisory boards made up of small business owners. So we talk about all kinds of things. What I've found for me, early on, I think we all procrastinate. We put things off that we don't want to do. I was adopted as a child, and my adoptive father was very wise. One of the things he said to me early on was, do what you don't like first.
It's great advice.
And because once you handle the tough things, everything else is a breeze because you got it out of the way. It's not, on your shoulders or weighting you down, and it's tremendously freeing. Now, do we do that? Did I do that? Sometimes, right? Over the years, though, I learned that, there's a tremendous amount of differentiation between what we do from the shoulders up and from the shoulders down.
Exactly.
And oftentimes we tend to live from the shoulders up. We try to solve our problems with the thinking that created them in the first place, instead of asking the right questions and then paying attention to how our body responds, first of all, because it is a transceiver, and also what shows up in front of us. The universe is just an amazing communicator. And whatever questions we ask, when we ask them with pure intent, the answers will show up, and they will generally show up right in front of us. The answers will come through people, places, things, thoughts that are evoked during an experience, things that, thoughts that just come in out of seemingly nowhere, but yet have extreme relevance in the process that we're going through. So those kinds of things really can allow one to, in a sense, overcome the fear of not knowing what to do. And I think that tends to be why we procrastinate.
A deep-seated fear of some form or another. Tend to agree with that. Yeah.
So once we get familiar, and for me, once I learned my own process, right? Because this is it's a process that's tremendously self-revealing, which life is when we pay attention to it well enough. I learned that the training as a growing being, I guess, for lack of a better, and in indigenous ways, there's three brains: the solar plexus, the heart, and the mind, or the brain, physical brain. We often go in reverse. We try to think things through and project and push and pull energy mentally, and don't really include the heart and the solar plexus in it. Well, the solar plexus is really the first brain. It's connected to everything.
Yeah. So for those viewers that possibly aren't as connected to anything more spiritually orientated, and so therefore they're not familiar with the term solar plexus, can you give us a little bit of a simple understanding of the type of feeling they should be looking for, or what they would be able to, if they were to slow down and take deep breaths, what it is in their bodies they can...
Here's a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
We call it anxiety.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Is it? You know, the same. So that's our interpretation. That's what we do in interpreting sensations without clarity. Okay? We process things unconsciously, and we automatically think this disturbing or unfamiliar feeling means something's wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
And in actuality, that same sensation can also be interpreted as what we might call the quickening.
Hmm.
So it is activating our senses. It means pay attention. Don't be afraid, right? Don't be fearful. Don't run.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go through the fight or flight syndrome.
Which is your primitive brain, which I talk quite a lot about, because
exactly.
The brain wants us to stay safe.
And when we become more conscious, we learn how to stay in stillness,
right,
which means shut up, right? Turn the thinking off and just feel the moment. Start there. Take a few breaths. Kind of deepen your experience in the moment with the breathing and the feeling of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you begin to do that, other things come to your mind. They bubble up from within you, as opposed to you concentrating on creating them in your thinking.
Or being stuck in what I term a thought loop. You've got the same thinking going run, 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 and just feeding one another until it becomes this mess in your head.
It's a vicious cycle.
Correct.
And until we make the effort to break that, there's a lot of processes and techniques and tools that are available. But I find one of the best is very simple, which often is the case. And it's simply putting your fingertips together, breathing, and feeling your heartbeat in your fingertips. When you can concentrate on feeling your heartbeat in your fingertips, you are officially out of your mind.
Imagine.
Right? And what's connected to everything? Your heartbeat.
The rhythm.
It's the inner rhythm of the universe that's around you.
Exactly.
Everything's pulsing, right? That's what vibration is.
Yep.
So in that pulse, we go inside, we begin to feel, and in that process of holding your fingertips together and feeling your heartbeat, when you practice that over time, you can really, your whole body begins to pulse. And even if you don't do that, right, it's a technique that you can use anywhere, any place, anytime with anyone, and they won't even know because you're just putting your fingertips together. Because and outwardly,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's a passive, it's an active passive moment, right, where you're making the choice to do that. Nobody else around you is aware of it, so you don't look goofy, right? And it's tremendously centering.
And calming.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it only takes just a few moments.
yeah, apologies. Provided you get your breathing correct
Mhm.
with that, because I know that there are people out there that will do this and they'll try and trigger that, but they won't slow their breathing down. They won't breathe into their solar plexus. They won't fill up their lungs. They're still shallow breathing, feeding the anxiety, and that's why they
Yeah,
say
feel your belly expand with it. That's when you know your breath is deep enough.
correct. Diaphragmatic breathing, I think it's called.
Yeah,
It's a big word.
yeah.
It's what we do
Well,
on
yeah,
our.
you have your diaphragm has to be activated, and if you're just doing the shallow breathing, it isn't.
No,
And most of us breathe very shallow.
yeah, causing anxiety, which causes procrastination, which causes nothing to happen.
And all kinds of stress that
Yes.
manifests in many different ways.
Agree.
And it's again, when you feel or when I felt like, okay, I've got to go do something, and my God, I don't know what to do, and I want to put it off and avoid it and not deal with it. I just don't do that anymore. It's like, okay, something comes up. All right, it's in the moment. What's the moment? It's the now, and it's most powerful. Another something I learned that you'll love this. Gosh, it's been 25 years ago. I learned this. A woman who was trained in the Huna way.
You need to
So,
expand on that. I'm not clear on.
well, the Huna, Hawaiian
Ah, right.
mysticism,
Yep.
basically.
Good.
So she taught me that, well, the process was she had a pair of dowsing rods, and we were in a room that was about 30-foot square. So the hypotenuse was probably 42, 43 feet, right? Something like that. And in that process, then she told me, okay, we're going to think about something in the past, then something in the future, and then the present moment. And
Right.
each time I'm going to have you close your eyes and go there, and I'm going to go to the other corner of the room, and I'm going to walk towards you, and I'm going to stop when the dowsing rods open, because that's where your aura begins, or at least that, what the dowsing rods were sensitive to.
Yeah.
So she has me think of a past event. I go there, close my eyes. She walks towards me, rods open up. She marks the spot, goes back with something in the future. Then she and goes through marking the spot, then picks up a rock, puts it in my hand, and has me focus on it, present moment, right? What was amazing is that past and future both opened in almost the identical spot. It was about 5 or 6 feet.
Wow.
The present, she barely got 3 steps in from the other side of the room. So that's about 35 to 40 feet.
Gosh.
Instead of 5 or 6.
Yes. And you're fully present.
Right.
Moment. Yeah.
And that's just an experiment, just a, pseudoscience of whatever you want to call it. However, try it and find out for yourself if you don't believe me. And it will at least, even just that knowledge gives you the information that your precious present energy is exponentially larger than your future and past energy, because we get stuck in those two places, and that's what keeps us procrastinating.
And it keeps the circle small, if we use that analogy. Whereas
Exactly.
if you're present, your vibration or your ability to be more aware of what is going on, then you're able to see and feel and identify things that perhaps you were closed off to.
Sure. Now, your awareness is not going to, immediately increase, to the levels that you want it to be. However, when you practice that over time and you become aware of that, and the choices to be so can be instantaneous. It's just your intention and attention.
Agreed.
And
well, I think you made it more clear, and I often say this a lot, is you've decided, you've made the choice. And that's something that you have to make very much in the now with full intention.
And everything we do, every action we take, every thought we have is a choice.
Yes.
There's a guy here in the States.
Yeah.
There's a guy here in the States named T. Harv Eker. And one of the things that has stuck with me from him is that what you do anywhere, you do everywhere.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
So whatever habits, patterns, processes we go through, we do it everywhere.
Yep.
We just may not be aware that we do.
Correct.
And as we gain that awareness, and it's self-awareness, it leads us to two things. And they're both inner and outer, or they are, combined, inner and outer. The inner is self-realization, right? We become aware of who we really are and the, for lack of better, power we wield. And you have to be cautious with that, because the universe doesn't operate on push and pull. That's where you get in trouble. The universe operates on flow. And that's where the self-actualization, which is the outer. So self-realization is becoming aware of self. Self-actualization is your form, fit, and function in the world.
Great. Great. And unfortunately, what tends to happen is I've coined a phrase for procrastination. And I think, like we've discussed, procrastination isn't really the problem. The problem is the interpretation that you have and the inability to get out of your head. And I call that the life stealer, because what we find is that when people stay in procrastination mode, it almost becomes habitualized for them. It's something that they just do. They're no longer to actually make decisions, move forward, or be open, and hence their life is stolen from them. And that's what we're trying to get tools and techniques around to encourage those that have become habitualized in this pattern of not living, of simply existing, to give them the jolt that they need. Because a lot of these people do decide, I don't want to procrastinate anymore, and they get very frustrated with themselves, but they're not able to break away from that pattern, because a lot of them won't get support, a lot of them won't get help, and a lot of them just stay stuck and stand still where they are. And so it's just encouraging people that there is an option to change. There is help out there, and it comes in a myriad of helps. We can stay very much in the non-spiritual sense, or we can go fully into the spiritual world and connect that way.
Well, and that's the advantage I've had with the master's degrees in business.
Yes.
And the history that I have I've been involved with, multi-billion-dollar companies and projects, and help facilitate, stakeholder meetings with as many as 80 people in them, and just getting them onto the same page. Well, there's a lot of procrastination in those places because people, for one, aren't sure what each other's agendas are.
Well, worse, it's a political game. My background is very similar. IT program manager, big projects, people, and typically it's not just procrastination, although that is a significant part of it, it's ego. And if you're working from ego, recipe for disaster has been my experience.
Well, and procrastination is, simply, it's just not doing.
Correct. Or avoiding. Avoiding, I think, is probably more in it, because I think if you slow down and you really consider what the options are, and there are options out there for you, you choose not to take them because the pain and the...
I just love your New Zealand accent. I really do. My wife's Russian, and I just, she speaks very good English, but it's with a Russian accent.
Of course.
It's lovely. The avoidance, yes, but still it comes down to simply not doing.
Correct.
And when we are able to look at those things and, on a very simple and practical level, I'm not so much of a list maker, yet I have a huge one in here, right? when you can take those things out, anytime you can put things into writing, it makes it more concrete. And it's kind of the process of precipitation, which means drawing from the ethers and putting it into form, right? One of the first things to do is put it in writing.
Mm.
So if you have a list, and especially if you create that list using your own hand, the energy is more present. Computers are great. You can type it up, you know, it still works, right? Using your handwritten list of to-dos and being able to create deadlines, commitments, you know, those kinds of things.
Goals.
And yeah, exactly. Goals and objectives, right?
Yes.
And so when you're able to do that, and this is usually what coaches, good coaches, get you to do first off, is once they do an initial assessment, you'll create an action plan of where you want to go, not where they want you to go. Right? If somebody's telling you where to go and if you feel like they're moving and pushing you to do something, back off. That's not the right person. The person that's best for you is one that's going to listen, pull out the details of your life and the dreams that they hear you talking about, and then helping you create the action plans to achieve them.
And keeping you focused in the present, whilst with a mind on the future you're wanting to create for the vision you see for yourself. Agreed.
And it gives you the option, the opportunity to be in the present and yet consider the past and future. You know, we don't eliminate it. And this is where I think many people become confused, because we talk about not being in the past or the future, and we think we can't think about it at all. That's not the case.
No, we have to learn.
It's very focused thinking about each and being conscious of it, choosing how to observe it, how to, from the past, how to harvest your past, glean the best things from it, and apply those things in the present in order to have the future, or a better future, that you desire.
Agreed. Exactly. And it's all possible. You just have to decide and make that commitment. So Zen, I want to thank you for your time today. It's been a great pleasure and a privilege to speak with you. Have you got any final words that you want to leave with our viewers?
Be what you are, right? In that place, you are an extremely big, large, wonderful expression of consciousness, individuated in your body. And it's much bigger than you can ever imagine.
Beautiful.
Just use it.
Thank you very much.